Today, we are doing another deep dive into the world of Heisenberg and Pinkman. And today we're exploring a burning question that fans have been debating since the season 5 finale. Why didn't Walter kill Jesse? It was teased for years throughout the show and seemed inevitable at times. Towards the end of Breaking Bad season 5, Heisenberg had already put a hit out on Jesse. He even knew Jesse had betrayed him by talking to the DEA and thought Jesse was the one responsible for Hank's death. At this point, he wanted revenge. So why didn't he? In the series finale of Breaking Bad, Walter White is trying to accomplish his ultimate goals of supporting his family and coming full circle by tying up all his loose ends, including Jesse. Throughout the episode, Walt was being shown the price he had paid for these achievements, and in the climax, we get to fully experience the ultimate mystery throughout the show, the unbreakable bond of Walt and Jesse Pinkman. So before we answer this ultimate question, we must first dissect the character of Walter White himself. To do this, we first have to go back to the start of the show and remember why Walt got into the meth business in the first place. He got in it to make sure that when he dies, his family can be financially stable. Now, when we first met Walt, he's a mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher facing a terminal cancer diagnosis. But as the series unfolds and he partners with his former student Jesse Pinkman, he witnesses his transformation into Heisenberg, our favorite ruthless drug kingpin. This transformation is crucial to understanding Walt's internal struggles and his relationship with Jesse. Throughout the course of the show, we observe how Walt's motives changed when his alter ego Heisenberg is introduced. He wasn't just in the meth business for money anymore. He was now in it for the power. He was in it for the thrill. As Heisenberg becomes more entrenched in the drug trade, he uses Jesse as a partner, and at times, as a pawn in his schemes. Jesse Pinkman, on the other hand, is introduced to us as a small-time meth cook and user. He's often manipulated by Walter, who exploits his vulnerability and loyalty. Despite the power dynamic, a genuine bond develops between them over the course of the series. We see moments of camaraderie, mentorship, and even a father-son bond form between Walter and Jesse. This complexity makes it difficult for Walter to simply outright kill Jesse, as he's come to rely on him both professionally and emotionally. One of the most intriguing aspects of their relationship is Jesse's role as Walt's moral compass. Throughout the series, Jesse frequently questions Walt's actions and morality, challenging him to confront the consequences of his choices. Walter often finds this hypocritical, and he struggles to not view Jesse as just Heisenberg's assistant, but instead as his second son. Jesse's presence constantly reminds Walter of his descent into the darkness. Killing Jesse would mean silencing this conscience, something that, at times, Walter appears to be tempted to do. But deep down, he knows that without Jesse, he could lose the last remnants of his humanity and become Heisenberg forever. Jesse's character arc is one of redemption. He goes from being a low-level criminal to someone who desperately wants out of the drug trade and to atone for his past sins. As Jesse seeks a way to escape the criminal world, his vulnerability becomes even more evident to Walter. Walter's decision not to kill Jesse can also be seen as an acknowledgement of Jesse's transformation and the realization that Jesse, unlike himself, still has a chance at redemption. Jesse becomes a symbol of what Walt could have had he made different choices. Beyond the practical reasons for sparing Jesse, there's also the emotional bond that forms between the two characters. Walter and Jesse go through harrowing experiences together, from cooking meth in an RV to facing danger from rival drug dealers to Gus Fring, and more. These shared experiences created a loyalty and friendship, even if it's an unconventional one. Despite all the betrayals and manipulations, there are moments where Walter genuinely cares about Jesse's well-being. In Season 4, Episode 10, Walt has had a horrible day, and he breaks down in front of his son, Walt Jr. Later, Jr. helps a groggy Walt get into bed, and he sleepily asks Jr. how he likes his new car. Jr. says he likes it, and Walt replies, "That's good, Jesse." This was one of the many instances which showed that Walt came to care about Jesse like he was his son. As we approach the final episodes of Breaking Bad, we see Walter White finally starting to face the consequences of his actions. His empire is crumbling, and he's become a fugitive on the run. It's in these moments that Walt's true character is revealed. Although Walt's bitter resentment towards his society has seemed to justify throughout the show, the world had definitely screwed him over, but at the same time, his pride and spite continued to drive him, even long after he plausibly could still call himself a victim. Even after he's become the one who knocks, Even Heisenberg, the devil himself, is not immune from the consequences of his actions. Breaking Bad is pointing out the tragedy of continuing to blame external circumstances for our own personal choices. And at a certain point, we must take responsibility for our actions. When Walter discovers that Jesse is being held captive by a group of neo-Nazis, he takes it upon himself to rescue him. This is a turning point for Walter. He knows the risks, and he knows that he may not make it out alive. But he's determined to save Jesse, even if it means sacrificing himself. In the series finale, we witness Walter White's ultimate redemption arc. He orchestrates a violent and ingenious plan to free Jesse from captivity, all while taking down his enemies in the process. He even wanted Jesse to fully complete the circle by killing Heisenberg himself. But Jesse was now finally free from that world. He was at peace with Walter's actions and his own. In this climactic scene, Walter's actions not only save Jesse, but also provide closure for both characters. Walter's final moments as he looks at Jesse and smiles before succumbing to his wounds. This shows Walt's acceptance of his own fate, and also his hope for Jesse's future. Breaking Bad ends with Jesse Pinkman finally gaining his freedom, with Walter meeting his demise. It's a bittersweet conclusion to a complex and intense series. So as it turns out, our favorite protagonist, Heisenberg, is a master manipulator and a monster. But Walter may not be such a monster after all. Even he is capable of love. At the end of the show, Walter Jr. is Walter White's son, and Jesse is Heisenberg's. Walter White and Jesse Pinkman represent the dual nature of all humanity, the capacity for both good and evil. Their bond, despite its dark and twisted elements, illustrates the power of redemption, forgiveness, and the hope for a better future. So finally, to wrap everything up, why didn't Walt kill Jesse? The answer lies in the evolution of these amazing characters and the ultimate redemption that both characters sought. In the end, Jesse Pinkman, like many others, was a victim of Heisenberg's wrongdoings. And Walt finally realized that he was actually responsible for Jesse's capture, so he finally set him free. Fun facts. Fans also noticed that the show's finale was titled Felina, which is not only an anagram for finale, but it also strings together the elements Fe for iron, which is in blood, Li for lithium, which is in meth, and Na for sodium, which is in tears, meaning the finale is built on blood, meth, and tears. A fitting end for our favorite meth empire and all the players. In the final moments of the show, Walt is staring at his reflection in the metal cylinder. A throwback to the many times Walt had internally fought with the other side of himself. Police sirens wail in the background as the reflection and the man stare at each other for a moment, until Walt slips to the floor, leaving a handprint of blood. Although he saved Jesse, he had lost to Heisenberg, and in his wake, all that was left was blood, meth, and tears.